I'm Mark Schaefer, and I wanted to give you a little preview of some of the content you'll be receiving in Fabio Tambosi's new course. I'd like to talk a little bit about why this is important and what this is all about. And I kept giving the same advice to many questions that I was receiving. I would be getting questions like, how do I write a book someday? How do I start a speaking career? How do I get more doors of opportunity to open for me? How do I get invited to be on a board someday, or maybe teach at a university? And the same answer I kept giving to these people was, well, to do that today, you really have to be known. And the more I considered it, I thought, well, is there a way to become known? I wasn't really sure. Is there a process that you could follow? Is there a pattern that people use? Now, when I say become known, that's different from being famous. I'm not talking about becoming a YouTube star or some kind of a famous influencer. I'm talking about having the presence, the reputation, and the authority to get your job done, to give you the best opportunity to succeed, whatever that might be. So I started to do research. And what I found initially was that there really wasn't a lot of good information available today on how to build a personal brand on the web. A lot of that was not really business oriented, not really research oriented. It was more a lot of like cheerleading hype, like if you can dream it, you can believe it, and follow your dream. But there wasn't really a lot of process to it. There really wasn't a lot of experience or wisdom behind it. So I started to do my own research. And I talked to nearly 100 thought leaders from around the world. Many of them had started with nothing. Some of them had been destitute, had been broke, almost homeless before they started their process. I talked to people who had become successful in banking, in education, in real estate, in construction, in art, in music, in writing. And what I found is that every person in every field, in every part of the world, did the same 4 things. There was no exception. And so I found that there was a process. It wasn't necessarily easy. It takes a lot of work to establish a personal brand on the web today. But today, in our world, having an effective social media presence, having a powerful internet presence is a life skill. And if you can have that life skill, if I can teach you how to have that life skill, you can have a permanent and sustainable advantage. And those are some of the highlights from the content that Fabio is going to be presenting to you. What I found is that everyone, without exception, did the same 4 things, followed the same process. Now, here's something really exciting that's happened since I wrote the book, and what I think one of the benefits of this class will be for you. When I interviewed all these dozens of people for my book, on average, it took them about 2.5 years for their personal brand to really start paying off, for their brand to sort of tip, as it were. After I wrote my book, I had people coming up to me 4 months, 5 months, 6 months after they had read the book, and they said, this book is having an immediate impact on my business. This book has changed my life. And I began to wonder, how is that possible? The people I interviewed, it took them about 30 months, 2.5 years, for their brand to really take off. How can people be having such immediate success? And here's the answer. Because the people I interviewed didn't have my book. I didn't have my book when I built my personal brand. I fumbled around and stumbled around and eventually sort of fell into the process. But what my book does, what the content in Fabio's course will do for you, is dramatically reduce that learning curve, because you don't have to fumble around anymore. You don't have to stumble around anymore. You'll know exactly what to do. You'll know exactly the process that dozens, hundreds, thousands of people have already discovered around the world to build a personal and a very effective and powerful personal brand. So it works. And you are going to love the content in Fabio's course. Again, taken from my new book, Known. There's going to be lots of exercises. You're going to learn a lot. And you'll probably even have a little fun along the way. So I don't want you to miss this course. It's very important. It's very effective. And thanks for listening. And thanks for signing up for Fabio's course.